Word or phrase for fearing arrest/detainment/blame having done nothing wrong. I believe I'm not alone in this, but I get a sensation when I encounter someone who is in a position of power, relative to me, that the person will find me guilty of an infraction of some sort, regardless of how minor, and drop the hammer, so to speak, even, especially, in fact, when I've done absolutely nothing wrong or even suspect. Here is a simplified example. Walking down the sidewalk in the middle of the day, I notice a police officer standing nearby. I get a nagging sensation that the police office will suddenly decide I am a person of interest and question, detain, or even arrest me. Just for background, I have never been arrested and I've only ever been semi-detained for justified traffic stops and on one other, unjustified, occasion, in the bicycle version of a Terry stop when I was out riding late at night. The police were clearly bored and claimed I matched the description of a guy they were looking for. This mentality could also be inspired by other people, i.e. not police, who act as authority figures with at least some measure of power over the person, teachers, security guards, etc. I think it bears some passing similarity to a persecution complex, and I suppose it could be seen as a specific type of paranoia. Is there a word or short, 2 or 3 word, expression to describe this particular sort of, mostly, irrational thinking?
This is the blight of a false conscience generating false guilt. Guilt in the sense of feelings of guilt rather than culpability. See pathwork steps, real and false conscience, real and false guilt. However, it is generally ignored that man is governed by 2 consciences. One is the expression of his higher or real self, the center of his being, aiming at full self-realization. The other is a superimposed conscience that is, partly, the expression of superimposed rules and regulations, such as the dictates of public opinion, and, partly, an expression of the dictates of his private idealized self-image. The superimposed conscience, in its fear of disapproval and blind obedience to inherited and adopted outward standards, is often senseless and inhuman. Since it is created out of fear, it cannot help but breed more fear. Its principal fear is not knowing what is right or wrong, of not having a guidepost for right conduct. The above presents perhaps too idealized a view of man. In Christian theology in general, it is believed that the conscience is given to man as his internal moral compass, but that from the time man first chose to ignore its pointings, it malfunctions. Thus man often finds it hard to distinguish the correct course, and sometimes feels guilt inappropriately, or fails to feel it when appropriate. Roman Catholics often use the term false conscience. The judgment of the mind when it wrongly decides that something is lawful but that in fact is unlawful, or vice versa. The error may be due to the false principles used or because the mind was darkened or confused in its reasoning process. Catholic culture.
Maybe the words you're searching for are guilty conscience and you have some sort of paranoia they will detect it.
Sounds to me like it's just a specific type of paranoia. Suspicion and mistrust of people or their actions without evidence or justification. As in, you are paranoid about police and other authority figures.
An extremely mild case of paranoid delusion resulting from anxiety. It involves the person's belief that he or she is being conspired against, cheated, spied on, followed, poisoned or drugged, maliciously maligned, harassed, or obstructed in the pursuit of long-term goals.